bow our heads to the Lord. Lord Jesus, we thank you. What a beautiful day it is today, Lord. When it rains, Lord, you give it to us when we need the rain, Lord. We thank you for it. Oh, it's so wonderful to get up. It's not hot. It's not humid. It's just perfect. It's a beautiful day, Lord. We thank you for it. We thank you for this day in Cornerstone. We just pray that your Holy Spirit leads us today, Lord. And I pray that everyone here today, Lord, will say when they leave the house of the Lord that, hey, I got something from the Lord today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now go ahead and clap along and start.
you can. Welcome to Cornerstone. It's another great day to be here. Amen? I was having a discussion this week with me and Ray and Mark. We were talking about living in the now. And I thought about some scripture this morning here. Where, think about the scripture that says, "This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it." In other words, there was an emphasis on today. Also, the other scripture where it says, "Today is the day of salvation." In other words, it's important what we're doing right now. What happens later doesn't matter. But what we do right now counts for everything. And then I thought about the verse where it says, "Don't say 3 months and then the harvest. Look out in the fields now, and they're ripe to harvest." I thought, boy, it's an emphasis on right now. So what matters about today? Right now. And we say things all the time like, "Oh, don't look ahead into the future. Don't plan because we don't know that we're promised that." But then we always live looking ahead. We always live, what am I going to do for lunch? What am I going to do tonight? What does this week hold? And we don't focus enough on what's happening right now in the moment. And we have a moment this morning to worship together, to be together, to call on the God of the universe. And we get a chance to just pour ourselves on Him and glory in Him. Amen? Isn't that exciting today? I want to announce a couple of things. That's why I asked to come up here. First of all, is that we're going to have a baptism soon. And if you haven't been baptized and you want to be, or your children want to be, you need to get with us. You can get with me, or you can get with Karen. Karen can write you down. And we're going to have a baptism. Also, pretty soon we're going to have a baby dedication. So all you that have had babies or you want your children dedicated to the Lord, we're going to do that as well. Haven't had a chance to do that since I've been here. It's been on my heart for a while. And if you want that done, you can get with us. And we want to do that and have that service. And get that commitment from you guys that says, "Hey, I'm going to raise my children in a godly home, doing godly things so that they know the one true God." Amen? Amen. We've been talking, if you would, Chris, put up that slide for text to give. I know we've been beating this drum a little bit just because it's an easy way for you to give. And, people say all the time, giving an offering is not going to save you. You're right, it's not going to save you. But it might save somebody else. Amen. What do I mean by that? When you give to the church is able to give out of what they've been given. They're able to sow into lives. They're able to do things. I can't tell you how many times that people come to us and they need something. They need a hand. They need help with a bill. They need or just a ministry. Like we pour money sometimes into what John's doing. Or we pour money into what Kenneth is doing. These Easter egg hunts that people say, "Oh, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing?" I tell you what, when we did the Easter egg hunt this year, over 80 people here, and probably a quarter of them were our people. And we had a chance, we had a moment. And we seized that moment. Well, what does your giving do? It allows us to stretch out our arms into many directions. And I love nothing more when somebody comes to me with an idea and they say, "Hey, can we do this?" And I say, yes, we can. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's rent the park. Or let's go over here. Let's invest in this. Let's invest in the school. Let's sponsor something. Let's sponsor a team. Whatever it is. But we can't do it on empty pockets. And I don't say that to say, "Oh, get out your checkbook." Right. I'm just saying, if you're giving, it's not going to save you, but it may save somebody else. And to me, that's why I invest in the kingdom. Because it's the only way to make an eternal investment, an earthly investment that has an eternal gain. You see what I'm saying? I put a little money into the church, but it reaps a heavenly gain. And my money will burn up one day and it'll be gone, but the impact that it makes may be eternal for somebody else. All right, if I could have my ushers come up this morning. Casey, would you come up and bless the offering this morning as well? But welcome to Cornerstone. We love you, and we're glad that you're here this morning.
Let us pray. But Jesus, God Almighty, we just thank you this morning that we're able to give, Lord. We give a penny, or if we give $1,000, Lord, you're going to bless it, Lord. And we thank you for all the blessings that you have given this body, these people, this church. Our gratitude, our hearts should be filled with thanksgiving to you, Lord. And we thank you for everything, Jesus. In your name we pray. Amen.
Okay, kids, you can leave. Holding my sorrow and bearing my sin, lost without hope with no place to begin. Love made a way to let mercy come in. When death was arrested and my life began, was redeemed, only beauty remains. My orphan heart was given a name. My mourning grew quiet, my feet rose to dance. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. Released from my chains, I'm a prisoner no more. Was your ransom faithfully bore, canceled my debt and me all being friend. When I was arrested, my life began.
This morning, we're going to have a special time of prayer. Donna Bricker reached out to me this week, and her sister-in-law was diagnosed with a brain tumor this week. And Donna also has a sister who's been battling cancer. And it's just been a whole lot, I know, for their family. And I told her I wanted us to have a time to pray for them this morning. I'm going to ask Donna to come and stand in for them this morning. We're going to anoint her with oil. But what I want you to understand is I heard a story recently about a preacher who had a member of his congregation that had cancer. And he said he really felt that he needed to lay hands on that person and pray for him every day. So he arranged it where every day he would go over and he would lay hands and he would pray for him. Something about that laying on of hands and praying for somebody is powerful, because over time, after every day, it's like all of a sudden he got a good report. And he got a better report. And he got a better report because he was consistent going to battle for this person. And it makes you wonder how many times we've been so close to breakthrough, but we missed it because we just weren't consistent in our prayers. Maybe God was going to move if we would have just done a little bit deeper. This morning, if you have a need, I'm going to open it up this morning. If anybody else wants to be anointed with oil this morning, if you want us to pray for you, if you've been sick, maybe you want to stand in for somebody else this morning, we're going to have a time of prayer. I'm going to ask the elders of Cornerstone to come up this morning. I'm going to ask some other men to gather around, and ladies to gather around Donna that love her. And we're going to have a time of prayer this morning. We're just going to ask God to do what we may think is impossible. He can make possible this morning. And if you want to be seated where you're at, you can be seated this morning. But I want you to focus all of your efforts, all of your heart on lifting them up, those that are here this morning.
God, we know there's nothing in our words that are magical. Nothing in the words that we say have any power other than the power of Jesus' name. So, in the middle of this prayer, we pray that you help us remove ourselves as we lift up someone that we love so much. I read that everything bows to you. And we believe that means cancer as well. So right now, Lord, we humbly approach your throne, asking for you to do a work in the lives of the entire family. We believe that you're the healer. We believe that you have power over sin and death. We believe that you're the creator of all things. So as we anoint Donna this morning, Father, we pray that you move. We ask that you move in a mighty way in this family, through all the sickness, through all the tension and the heartache. We pray for your healing in every part of this situation. We pray that God, that we just want you to move. We honor you. We bless you today. We understand who you are. pray that in some way that our hearts could line up with your will. And that we would begin to move in areas that you've placed us in to give comfort to a family that needs us. So we pray that you move on us as well. Move on our hearts. Move on our schedule, Lord. Bless you.
Let's pray, Lord, for God. Lift her up to you, Jesus. Pray that she be a source of strength for those who come. I thank you for it, God. I pray, God, that in this situation, God, we would rejoice, just like we did when John's father is healed, Lord. Lord, we rejoicing over these situations as well. So, Lord, today I ask you just to come from heaven, be the God that heals. God, I look forward to the report that we're going to get, God, the good report and the good news that you're going to bring, God. And I trust you for it, God. I look to you for it.
Stories of what they made your life, but I've heard tender whispers of love and then I'm down to tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good Father. To you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. I've seen many searching for answers, far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide.
good to know that we have a place that we can go and we can ask people to pray for us. I was talking to a friend of mine that I work with this week, and he was talking about some different churches that he had visited, and kind of just one of those type churches that you kind of just go in as a visitor, and it's kind of really big, and it's hard to feel at home. And I asked him, I said, you know, when you don't have a church home, when you don't have a church body, I said, what do you do when you come to something that you don't have an answer for? I mean, you can go to God on your own, but it feels so good to be able to go to somebody else and be able to talk to them, to be able to explain them. And I shared my story with him about when we were in the hospital and with our daughter, Hosanna. She was born 10 weeks early. We spent 6 days at UAB, and we were driving back and forth because my son, Elijah, all of you, most of you know him. And we're driving back and forth, and we're driving about 1,000 miles a week. And a guy by the name of Pat Locker at Edgewood, he come to me and he said, listen, you've got this Honda Pilot that's going to take a lot of gas to go. He said, so why don't you drive my Prius back and forth? And man, he saved us a ton of money by doing that. And had we not been in the church, we wouldn't have had that. You know, and then, not to mention all the people that came and visited us and prayed for us, but stuck money in our pocket. Because see, when you're staying in the hospital, there's no cooking at home. You just do whatever you got to do. We had no idea what we were going to do because it's like a loss of income. April's not working. I'm fortunate at the time. I'm working from the hospital. John came and saw me at the time when we were up there with the saw me when we were in the very first part of it. And you're just like, you know, what are we going to do? But all you know is you're going to be at that hospital doing whatever you got to do. And I said, what do you do when you don't have a body to go to? When you don't have anybody to ask to pray? When you can't call somebody on the phone and say, hey man, I'm just going through this. What do I do? I mean, I just don't know what people do. Where is the hope in that? You know, sometimes you just need somebody with a little flesh on them. You just need somebody with a little flesh on them. Jesus, we love him and we're grateful for him, but sometimes I need to see him in people like Caleb. You know, I need somebody that can put their arm around. Today, we're talking about wrestling with God. And we're talking about the story of Jacob. And you know, it's one of those stories that I think many of us are going to realize that we're a lot like Jacob. He's a lot like you. You're a lot like him. I'm a lot like him. So today when we think about this, I just want you in the back of your mind going, you know what? I am Jacob. This story is my story. And if you're thinking maybe you think today, you know what? I'm a complicated person. Anybody ever feel complicated? You ever feel messed up, like you got a lot of issues? When you look at yourself, like, oh man, I do a lot of dumb things. Jacob was complicated. So you're in good company this morning, all right? You're in good company. Because Jacob was a complicated person. Don't think this morning that you're the only one with issues. Number one, you're not even the only one in this room with issues. I mean, the church, we got this mentality that we're perfect, but boy, are we messed up. We don't even know what to believe half the time. One person's over here, one person's over here, one person thinks this, one person thinks we ought to do it this way, one person thinks this is biblical, the other person says this is not biblical, and nobody's checking. That's the scary part. I heard a lot of things people say that were biblical. You know, so there are issues mentioned in the Bible, even that would make us blush, and they were written in the Bible. And when you read it, you find out about those stories, amen? We dig in and we see, you know what, Noah, he did this great thing, he built this ark, but he did some weird stuff too. Kind of go, no, come on. You know, and you got people like Abraham, you're like, oh, Father Abraham, man, you know, how many sons? I remember we used to do the little song. How many sons of Father Abraham? We do a little arms over and marching, you know. Did all those. I grew up in Bible school, you know, the little 60 cookies, big 60, Kool-Aid kind of thing. I have been every kind of church you can mention, every Bible school in town. And we do the Father Abraham. But Abraham did some messed up stuff. It's like God said, you're going to have a baby. And then when Sarah didn't immediately get pregnant, he said, oh, I'll go over here with my handmaid and I'll have one. In other words, I'm going to do God's job for God. And that's where we get in trouble every time. And we get into this thing where we're fighting, and we're just wrestling with God. Have you ever felt, me and April were talking, it was so funny, on the way to church last week. Have you ever felt like God said you do something, you said, man, that's crazy. That doesn't even make sense. That can't be God. That can't be God. When will we get to the place in our faith where even the crazy things, we just go ahead and do? You know, you ever felt like God said, oh, go over here and give this person this. or go over here and tell this person this, and they're going, they are going to think I am insane if I tell them that. But then if you actually go do it, you realize what God's doing, and God opens up a door for you to share the gospel maybe. God opens up the door for you to do something that you didn't know you were going to be able to do because you were faithful in the small things. So what's he going to do? He's going to give you many, many things. And so, I mean, I've been there before where God's like, go over and give that guy $5. And I'm like, really? This is what we're going to do today? And I think back to where the king had leprosy, or the leader of the army had leprosy, Laman. And they said, go and dip yourself in the Jordan River. And he said, I'm not going to go do that. And his servant goes, well, if he'd have told you something complicated, you wouldn't have done that. If he'd have told you you had to pay a high price, you'd have done that. And so we're looking for God to give us these great things like, go over here and save this country from poverty. And God's just saying, hey man, go tell your neighbor to come to church. Simple things. But we wrestle with God. You know, Jacob was born with this thing that gives us all the problems. It's called a me first mentality. Me first. You ever seen two kids try to get their door together? It's quite comical. You know, they're coming in. My son, I hate to open up the door because I'm trying to unlock the door. The stairs literally are this wide, and he's like, I'm like, would you get out of my way? There's a reason I go in the house first, just in case there's somebody in there that we're not expecting. But if you want to take them on, I'll sit in the car. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, would you not knock me down to get to the house? I've seen April literally everything in her arms like this. And Elijah knocked her down to get to the house. And I just look at her. I'm like, I literally want to kick him through the wall. I mean, kids will grab each other by the neck and throw each other to the side to get to the front. Everybody has to be first. It is this me first mentality. And you know what? It's what we're born with. You know, you have to teach a kid how to say thank you, but you don't have to teach them how to say mine. They learn that on their own. Boy, you beat them to death trying to get them to say thank you. But mine, oh, that's easy. One of the first words your kid will learn will be mine. You go to get something, mine. I've seen them literally fighting back and forth. Back and forth over something so trivial. But it's mine. And I got to have it. Because it's about me. And how can you learn how to live God first in a me first society? And that's what Jacob struggled with his whole life. From birth, he struggled with me first. Let me show you what I'm talking about this morning. Oh man, I've got a long way to go. Well, maybe I won't show you this morning. Anyway, Genesis chapter 25. You guys let me know if it starts working. Genesis chapter 25, verse 21. If you have your Bible, turn there this morning. Genesis chapter 25, and we're going to start with verse 21. You may have to restart that. I don't know what's going on with it. This morning we're plagued with some technical issues, but that's okay. All right, 25 verse 21. This is what it says. It said, Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was childless. And the Lord answered his prayer, and his wife, Rebekah, became pregnant. Now listen, this is verse 22. It said, the babies jostled each other within her. And she said, why is this happening to me? So she went to inquire of the Lord. I like it that she had a problem, and the first place she went to the solution was to the Lord. Why are these babies jostling at me? I'm going to ask God. And so the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 people from within you will be separated. 1 people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. All right? And when the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb, and the first to come out was red, and his whole body was like a hairy garment. So they named him Esau. Who in here is guy whose body is like a hairy garment? I got anybody? George Lake, you need to raise your hand, brother. I swam with you. I love you. I love you. But this is your patron saint right here, Esau. So Esau was hairy. He was like that. Yeah, that's ahead of me, guys. You're going to have to, if you would, just hang tight. And after his brother came out with his hand grasping. Now Jacob's hand came out, and his hand was grasping Esau's heel. His hand was a baby that's in the womb comes out grasping his brother's heel. This is crazy stuff. And he said, so he was named Jacob. And it says Isaac was 60 years old when Rebekah gave birth to them. That's crazy too. There we go. So Jacob, what does it mean? Holder of the heel, or supplanter. Now supplanter evolved from the Latin term supplantere, meaning to trip or to overthrow. Can you imagine that your kid comes out and you name him to overthrow because he's already grasping at his brother's heel? He's already pushing his way to the front. So why don't I give him a name like selfish leader? Because that's basically what he is. He wants him first and nobody else. See, Jacob, he came out grasping his brother's heel, and the name Jacob was not a good thing. I wonder now why people name their kid that. I know they name him after the Bible, but this isn't the good part. You know, this is a thing. This was not just a name, but this is a characteristic of who he was. You know, I mean, if I had to do that, sometimes my son's name would be pain in my backside. Because he is sometimes. Sometimes he is a mad maker. Because he makes me mad sometimes. But other times he's joy giver too. So you have to weigh these things out. But names are so important. And I see this name and I go, why would you name your kid after something that's a bad characteristic of him? And it says from birth, he was a cheat trying to overtake something that was not meant for him. He was trying to get ahead of his brother from birth. Because see, names are important. Let's move on in the story a little bit here. I want you to catch this. The boy grew up, and Esau, the hairy one, the patron St. George, became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country, while Jacob was content to stay at home among the tents. That's right. And Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. You say, well, that's kind of messed up too. The parents have chosen favorites. Once, when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished. And he said to Jacob, quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished. That is why he was called Edom. And Jacob replied, first sell me your birthright. He said, look, I'm about to die. What good is the birthright to me? But Jacob said, swear to me first. So he swore an oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He gave him a cup of beans, guys. And he ate and he drank, and then he got up and left. And so Esau despised his birthright. He despised it. You know, see, we talk about Jacob. Jacob is the supplanter. Jacob is the cheat. He's doing exactly, he's living up to his name. You see, if you label a kid a certain way, they'll live up to whatever you label. You know, I see these people in Walmart, they're beating their kids, and they're saying, come on, dummy. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. And I've worked with some dummies. And I have a feeling that it was because of the way they were treated when they were raised. I've worked with teenagers before who you couldn't be in the same room with because they were so disrespectful, dishonorable, but they didn't even know any better. Because when you met their parents, they were just like them. And see, names are important. And see, but Esau is no better than Jacob. He is struggling in his own way. So what is the main lesson that we learned from Esau this morning? Here's the lesson that you got to learn from Esau. You never trade what you want now. Or, never trade what you want most for what you want now. That's called compromise. When I trade what I want most for what I want now, I end up trading my birthright for beans. And we laugh at that. We say, that's crazy. But that's what he did. He wanted this right now. So what he did, he traded what he wanted most, which was the birthright, the blessing of his father, for what he wanted now. And that's why so many people are running around today and they're trying to fill a God-shaped hole with everything but God. It's because all they know is right now they have a longing, and they've got to fill that longing now. And I tell you what the problem is you can drink it up, but it'll never get full. You can eat it up, but it'll never get full. You can sleep with it. You can run with it. You can go with it. But let me tell you, there's a shape in you that's God-shaped, and it will not be filled unless you put God in it. And right now, if you're here this morning and you know there's an emptiness in you, you know there's a longing in you, then this story is for you because you're Jacob. And you need to quit wrestling God. You need to quit. Now is what's important. See, you were designed for blessings of God, but how many will settle for comforts of today? You were designed for blessings of God, but many will trade it for the comforts of today. So what did Esau do? He traded his birthright for beans. He gave up what he wanted most for what he wanted now. And he gave up what was rightly his for a belly full. You know what? Eventually you get hungry again. Let me show you something else this morning. As we roll along down this story, it just keeps unfolding in layers. But I want to show you, this was a dysfunctional family. Anybody in here, you ain't got to raise your hand, but if you had to ask and say, hey, I come from a dysfunctional family. We're so dysfunctional, we wouldn't even know how to be functional. Anybody say this? My brothers and sisters, they're just straight up weird. You're raised to say it. We are a dysfunctional family. Well, let me tell you what this morning is great about this story. What is great about this story is you are not alone. You're not alone. Look here, Genesis chapter 26, 34 and 35. When Esau was 40 years old, he married Judah, daughter of Pharaoh the Hittite, and also Basemath, daughter of Elon the Hittite. Number one, he married two women. That's crazy enough. Verse 35. They were a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. Anybody ever had somebody in your family that was a source of grief? Boy, they'll get on your nerves. It's so true. You can say amen or you can say, oh me. But it probably applies to you some way. We had it in our family, and everybody has it in theirs. They had the addict, the alcoholic, the drama queen, the thief. And the same things are said about them that Rebecca is saying here. They are a source of grief. See, people tend to wrestle against man, and they wrestle against God. There's a struggle back and forth. So if you think this morning that your family is the only one that is unique or screwed up, hey, you're in good company this morning. You're not even the only one in the room. All right, if you have your Bibles, I didn't put all of this scripture on here because there's 44 verses, and I'm not going to read every one of them. I'm going to paraphrase what we got. But if you want to follow along, flip to Genesis chapter 27. And what we're talking about in Genesis chapter 27 is the true betrayal of Jacob to Esau. Now, what I want to tell you this morning is when Isaac was old, his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see. And he called Esau, his older son, and said to him, my son. And what he said from there was, he said, Esau, I'm getting old. I don't know when I'm going to die. It's probably going to be soon, though. And he said, I love the stew that you make from the wild game that you kill. It's so good to me. You make tasty food, is what the Bible says. And he says, I love that food. Will you go out and will you kill something? And will you make me some of that stew that you made? And when you come back, I'm going to lay my hands on you and I'm going to give you my blessing. I don't know why that bothers me that Esau missed his blessing, but it does. It was the final thing his father on earth could give him. And he missed it. So he says, go out and do that. Well, Rebecca overhears this. And she goes to Jacob. She says, Jacob, your brother's going out. He's going to kill some game. He's going to make a stew. He's going to come back. Your father's going to give him the blessing. I don't like Esau, so I don't want him to get the blessing. I want you to get it, Jacob. Like I said, dysfunctional. So I want you to get it. I want you to get the blessing. So this is what we're going to do. You're going to go in there. You're going to make some food like your brother would make. And you're going to go kill a goat. You're going to come back. And I want you to take the hair and we're going to put it on your arm so that when he feels you, it's going to feel like Esau. It's pretty bad when you take goat hair and put it on you. And your dad don't know the difference. I'll just say that. All right? So he goes out and he does this. And he puts it all together. And his mom has let him there. We're like, why is this? Why? But it's not Jacob's fault, it's his mom. Well, you know how old Jacob is at this point? Jacob's in his 70s at this point, guys. And he's still at home with mama. And then he says, she says, go and get some of Esau's clothes. Esau's clothes are still at his mama's house, and he's older than Jacob. I mean, well, by seconds, but nonetheless, they're both in their 70s. And they're still at their mama's house. Come on, there's a lesson there too. I love my son. If I live old enough so he's 70, he's not going to live in the house anymore, okay? There's a time that you got to go. I feel like Jacob's kind of been kept in the kitchen for a long time, and he needs to get out there and get something done. And so it was time for him to go. Maybe this was the only way God could move him. But what happens is she says, go do this. And he goes and he does this, and he goes in there to his father. And his father said, well, he says, oh, who is it? Who's there? And he says, it's Esau. And his father says, come closer. No, tell me who it is. And he says, it's your oldest, it's Esau. He touches his arm and he said, you sound like Jacob, but you feel like Esau. You sound like Jacob, but you feel like Esau. And he said, how did you come back so quickly? And I thought, man, that was a flaw in their plan. They should have thought it was going to take a little longer to kill wild game, make a stew, and come back. It wasn't just right there prepared for them. But then this is what Jacob says, and this is the part that probably frustrates me the most, is he says, the Lord your God provided the meal. You know what? Well, we'll get there in a minute. We'll get there in a minute. I got something for that, but we get there in a minute. And so what he does is he says, okay. He says, if you're Esau then, and he lays his hand on him and he blesses him and he tells him how he's going to prosper. And then Esau comes back to the picture and he walks in and he says, Father, here's the stew. And he says, hey, you were already here. And he says, I haven't been here. And he said, well, I've already given out my blessing. Your brother tricked me and I gave it. He said, but isn't there any blessing left for me? Isn't there anything left for me, God? Isn't there anything left for me, Father? He says, no, the blessings come with the Lord. He says, isn't there anything left for me? No, there's not. And Esau became enraged. And he said, my brother, the cheater, the supplanter, I killed him. It's another world of hate when you're ready to kill your brother. But when your brother's cheated you and he stole from you, he's done all the things that he's done, then he said, I'll kill him. Now let me tell you a little bit about what was said here. Jacob's father is suspicious of Jacob the entire time. And he asked him, he said, who are you? And he says, oh, I'm Esau. And then he says, the Lord. This is what we were talking about a minute ago. He said, the Lord, your God, gave me success. The Lord your God gave me success, and I went out and I got that animal quickly, and I brought it back and I made the stew. You know what I learned from that? I was listening to someone this week talk about it. Is that not everything that sounds spiritual is spiritual. You understand what I'm saying? Not everything that sounds spiritual is spiritual. Here Jacob is, he says, oh, the Lord your God, he's the one who provided for you. He's lying. He's lying. And not everything that you hear that rolls out of everybody's mouth that wears a tie and calls himself a preacher is spiritual. And not everything about that the people come to you and they talk to you, not everything that they say to you is spiritual. Notice Jacob doesn't say the Lord my God. There's a big difference in the Lord your God and the Lord my God. The Lord my God says this is who I serve. The Lord your God says that's who you serve. But I don't have anything to do with it. See, not everything that said is spiritual is spiritual. See, it sounded good. It sounded spiritual. But the whole time it was birthed in a lie and a scheme. For who? For Jacob's own benefit. You know why? Because that's what a me-first mentality does. It drives itself to the front even if it has to drive over other people. Selfishness is not something that we have to be taught. See, you have to weigh out what is being told to you because not everyone and not everything that looks good and sounds good is spiritual. So Jacob went in and he stole the blessing that was meant for his brother. You see, deceivers never care about their actions, how their actions will impact someone else. It's always about them. They're always trying to overthrow. So he takes his brother's blessing, but he had to cheat his brother and lie to his father to get it. See, Jacob may not have traded his birthright for beans like Esau did, but he traded what he wanted most for what he wanted now. His whole life, he had spent trying to get ahead of his brother, grasping at his heel. What are the things that we chase that we're trying to get ahead of? Grasping at other people, grasping at other things, trying to lock hold of them when we have one place that needs to be filled with God and we're keeping him so far away from it. See, it's the life of the prodigal son, played out hundreds of years before Jesus ever told the story. It's that me first mentality. Give me my portion now. And what's sadder here is Jacob doesn't even get what's his. He takes what's Esau's. I don't want somebody else's blessing. I want my blessing. I want what God has for me. I don't want what God wants for Tyler. Because God knows what I need. And He knows what Tyler needs. And I want what God has for me. I don't want to grasp at Esau's heel and say, Lord, give me Esau's blessing. I'm going to cheat him out of it. Because I would rather have what I can get now than what you've got for me. And how many of us are so guilty of that? We say, God, just give it to me now. And He's saying, if you'll just hold up, I've perfectly designed something for you. Don't try to fit a square peg in a round hole when God's got something so much better for you. And let me tell you another secret. Not everything that we strive to get is worth having. Not everything that we strive to get is worth having. That ought to be the dating motto. I tried to date some people. Once I started dating, I was like, whoa, that I did. That I did. Why did I do that, God? That's terrible. Lord, work this out for me. And He's like, okay. And you're like, it's on nerves. I mean, we've all been there where you strive to get something, and then you go, why did I get this in the first place? This is terrible. If I could just have this, and it's all your thoughts, it's what you're consumed with. If I could just get a hold of this, if I could just get a little more money, God. And then you get a little more money, you get a little more heartache. And you go, man, it ain't even worth getting. Have you ever worked so hard to get something that you really like just to give it back? You ever had that dog, that puppy you wanted? About a month into getting it, you're like, hey, free puppy. I got 8 of them in my house right now. There you go. Same flow. But they're good puppies. You never give them back. But I mean, I see it all the time. These people, they get, oh, the family's got a new dog. And literally on Facebook, you can almost mark it 4 weeks later, like, free dog. And I go, yeah, that's chewing something. That's peeing on something it shouldn't pee on. Because you get it, you want it, you gotta have it, and you go after it, and you chase it, and you pursue it, and it consumes your thoughts, and it consumes your time. And then you go, man, this is not even worth having. This is just junk. So Esau was not happy that he had been deceived. And you know what's bad about when you're going to deceive somebody? You need to think this out. Esau was what? A skilled hunter. A burly man. Jacob is smooth skin, working in the kitchen. You know, if I'm going to make somebody mad, it ain't going to be the burliest man in here. All right? You need to think about what you're doing. So he says, and what's bad is Rebecca knows. She tells Jacob, she says, Jacob ends up, you know, she says, you need to leave. Now's the time that you probably need to go because your brother's going to kill you. Not, I think you can make it. And she said, there's no use for both of my sons to die today. So Jacob, you need to go on. Because see, not everything that's worth getting is worth having. Because Jacob ends up with many physical possessions. He ends up with wealth. But his decisions to deceive put his life on the run for the next 21 years. See, 21 years is a lot of time to mess with your family. 21 years is a lot of time to think about how you lied to your father. 21 years is a long time to think about how you deceived your brother. 21 years is a long time to constantly be looking over your shoulder, wondering if your brother's going to catch up to you to kill you. Can you imagine every night that you lay down to sleep, you have to deal with the fact that you lied to your father, you stole from your brother, and your brother may come kill you. And that also, 21 years is a long time to not have the comfort of your mother. When you had spent 70-something years in the kitchen of your mother, you're probably pretty close. When she loved you like she did, and then all of a sudden you turn your back and you go and you got to go do your own thing. See, it was something he had to have, but he didn't realize what the cost of it was going to be. See, seeking what only pleases you now can cost you everything you want tomorrow. And I'm sure that Jacob longed for the comfort of his mother. In our pursuit for what we want now, we lose identity of who we are. See, you can get the blessing, but lose yourself. How many of us have been guilty of the same thing? We had the nice home. We had the great job. We had the reputation. We had the popularity. But what did we have to give up in search for it? What did we have to give up? Did we give up our marriage to get it? Was it worth it to us? Have you ever had to stare at yourself in the mirror and honestly say, you know what, I'm not the person I used to be. And when you looked at yourself, it literally broke your heart. I've been there before. Where I looked and I said, I'm not who I used to be. I need to go back to what I used to be doing. Don't you remember when you were so passionate about the Lord that you literally you just felt Him on your skin? You just felt Him when you moved throughout the day. You would see something and you would just say, oh, that's God. And I just want to soak it up. But yet our pursuit of everything else will rob us of the things that we want most. Because we got to have it now. You know, I've had to look at myself in the spiritual mirror before and come to grasp that in my pursuit of other things that I did not love Jesus like I once did. That I did not seek Him like I once did. That I did not know Him that I once did. Sure, I got to do some things, but those things we want to do can cost us everything. And when we get so far away from what we once were, then we don't even recognize the person in the mirror anymore. And what a nasty feeling. See, Jacob got it all. He did have wealth. He had riches. But he didn't know who he was. Boy, identity is more important than money. So Jacob is sent away to marry. And the wives of Jacob's brother, Esau, he calls Rebekah, and Isaac's in so much trouble, she sends him away to get married. She says, go to this other country to marry. Go back to my kin, find this person, marry this one. And while Jacob is on his journey, he has this dream. And he says there's these stairways or these ladders ascending and descending from heaven. And angels are going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And up above him is God on the throne. And Jacob awakens and he realizes, he says that surely the presence of God was in this place. Now what he realizes is, God tells him, He says, Jacob, if you will return back to your father, I will bless you. And I want you to see the trail. Then, because here it goes, after this dream, then Jacob made a vow saying, if God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am taking and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God. And I still go, Jacob, your attitude is so wrong. When are you ever going to learn? Because he says, oh, if God will meet all of my needs, then He can be my God. I don't need a God that just meets my needs. I need a God who's God of all. I don't need a God that works on my terms. I need a God that thinks beyond my terms because mine are flawed. I need to trust that God's bigger than me. See, like Jacob wants God, but he wants Him on his own terms. If God will bless me and provide for me, then He can be my God. And so Jacob leaves, and he goes on to Paddan Aram, and he meets this woman of his dreams. And we don't have time to get into all that happens, but basically he meets this woman of his dreams, and he goes to her father, and he says, well, if you'll work so many years for me, then you can have her. And so he works year after year, and then he gets married. He wakes up in the morning after his marriage and realizes, hey, this is not her, this is her sister. What an awkward time to figure that out. And I go, how did you miss that? I thought it wasn't. And then he goes back and he says, he tells his father-in-law, he says, you cheated me. You've wronged me. See, a cheat don't like to be cheated. A cheat don't like to be cheated. They're screaming for justice then. When you cheat a cheater, they'll be screaming the loudest. And so what happens? He says, well, I would never marry off my second daughter before I marry off my first one. And I'm going, man, that should have been in the clause somewhere when I was signing it. I worked 7 years. He says, well, if you're working other, I'll give you my daughter, my other daughter. And I'm going, man, he keeps getting cheated. And then his father-in-law goes on to cheat him. He cheats in every way possible. He said he cheats him in livestock. He takes from him. He causes him to pay when one gets stolen, one gets not. And then Jacob just keeps getting blessed, keeps getting blessed, keeps getting blessed. But it's funny because the cheater is getting cheated and he's mad about it. To the point where finally Jacob leaves and he goes on the run. And what's bad now is not only is Esau chasing him, but so is his father-in-law. He leaves in the middle of the night. He packs up all his stuff, which was quite an enormous venture. Let me tell you, I don't know how he packed up everything in the middle of the night and got home. It's just bunches of people, bunches of things, bunches of riches, and gone. And his father-in-law pursues him and chases him down. And I'm like, my goodness, when you're a cheat, when you're a liar, when you're a supplanter, evidently it means you're going to be on the run all the time. You're always running from the mistakes of yesterday. How many of you ever felt like that? I just keep running, and I keep running because I made a lot of mistakes yesterday. But eventually, you know what happens? Is those mistakes catch up with you. He decides to flee in the middle of the night for his father-in-law, and he's on the run. Yet even in all this, Jacob's wealth has been increasing, and he has great possessions. And Jacob finally, as he's headed back to his homeland, begins preparing to meet Esau again, because he knows he's going to run into him. His father-in-law does catch up to him. He makes amends with his father-in-law, thank goodness. But he's heading back to his homeland, and he says, I'm preparing to meet my brother. I'm going to see Esau when I get to this certain point. I know where he is. And so he sends out these people ahead of him, and they go to his brother, and they come back to Jacob, and they say, listen. They say, listen, your brother is out there. And he's got 400 men with him. And he's coming this way. And it says that Jacob was greatly distressed at this point. I can imagine so. Number one, if John and 10 men are coming at me, I get a little nervous at this point. But he said he had 400 men coming with him. And Jacob's like, oh no, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So what he does is he goes and he splits his family literally into two groups. And he sends one this way, and he says one this way. And you know why? He hopes that if this one gets attacked, that this one will survive. And I wonder which one he sent in which direction and which one he really hoped lived. But he said, I'm about to get just clobbered. See, sometimes what you think you want is really not what you want at all. You think you want it, but then you get it, you don't want it. Jacob wanted this blessing, but now it's cost him everything, and soon his brother is going to kill him. See, sin has a way of doing that. It takes you further than you want to go. It costs you more than you want to pay, and it keeps you longer than you want to stay. It just keeps on taking from you. It's like cancer. It just keeps robbing you of life. And it looks so good right now. The promise of come and get it now robs you of the blessing of waiting on God to get it to you. The promise of come and get it now, it just robs you. See, weeds come up quickly, but they don't produce fruit. But trees take time. They dig roots, and then they produce harvest year after year. And a lot of us right now, if we were honest with ourselves, we need to get to weeding. Because we've got a lot of things in our life that aren't producing fruit. Things that are robbing us of good soil in order to produce nothing. So don't sacrifice what you want most for what you want now. And now it's finally come down to this pinnacle moment. And I want to show you this. Is Jacob, and he literally wrestles with God. He's wrestled with man. He wrestled with his brother. He lied to his father. He wrestles again with his father-in-law, and he just has this abrasive nature. You know why? Because he's the deceiver. He's the supplanter. He's the one that's going to overthrow. His whole life is defined by his name. And it says so in chapter 32, verse 22, that night Jacob got up and he took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and he crossed the ford of the Jabbok. And after he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone. So Jacob was left alone. It's amazing to me that when we get alone with God, he can do his best work. When we're not distracted by everything else that's going on in life, God is able to do his best work. And that's what happens here. And a man wrestled with him till daybreak. And when the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip so that his hip was wrenched, and he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, let me go, for it's daybreak. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me. And the man asked him, what is your name? Jacob, he answered. Then the man said, your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you've struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. And Jacob said, please tell me your name. But he replied, why do you ask my name? And then he blessed him there. And he blessed him there.
We'll go forward right here. Israel is what his name is now. God shall fight. God shall fight for us, or triumphant with God. In other words, now Jacob is no longer wrestling with man and wrestling with God, but God is wrestling for Jacob. That changes everything. The things that we struggle with, the things that kill us, the things that are hurting us, the things that are overpowering us, the things that have kept us up all night, the things that are destroying us, the things that are causing us pain, that have dislocated our hip, the things that are hurting us, the things that have troubled us, all of those things can be happening when we quit wrestling with man, when we quit wrestling with God, and we let God wrestle for us. This angelic being, who many scholars say is some form of Jesus, has come to take hold of Jacob. And Jacob has always grabbed at other things, but now something's grabbed hold of Jacob. He's always grabbed for other things. Jacob fights with all his being all night long. And I mean, don't lose this part, guys, because this is the most important part of this message today, is these last few minutes. Jacob fights with the being all night long, never giving up. Jacob tells the angelic being that he won't let go until he blesses him. The being realizes Jacob will not give up, so he dislocates Jacob's hip, and Jacob still fights on. This is the pinnacle moment for Jacob. See, he's wrestled all night. He's injured. He's tired. It would be easier for him just to give up, but he keeps on fighting because he's determined to obtain the blessing. So what does he do? He holds on to God. Some of you are so close. Maybe it's 4 a.m. in your life, and the sun rises at 5:15. Would you just hold on to God a little longer? Maybe you've been wrestling. Maybe you've been struggling. Maybe you fought God, you fought man, and you're just saying, God, I just need a breakthrough. And you're holding on and you're saying, I'm not going to let it go until you bless me. And he will not let go. And that's what I want us to decide here at Cornerstone as a family here, is that, you know what, in our worship time, I am not going to let it go until God shows up. In our prayer time, I am not going to let it go until God breaks through. I'm just going to keep hanging on. I'm going to keep wrestling. Yeah, it may hurt. Yeah, I may feel dislocated. I mean, Jacob's 90-something by now, guys. And he fights on. It's probably why they went after his hip. I mean, he fights on through the night. It's worth it to him. Now, this is the moment that Jacob has wrestled. God has injured him. And the weirdest thing happens. The angelic being says, Jacob, what is your name? And he says, what is your name? I'm like, you've been wrestling with me all night. You should know my name by now. He's wrestled him all night long. He says, what is your name? See, let's think about this. When was the last time someone asked Jacob what his name was? It was Isaac. What did Jacob tell him? He said, my name is Esau. And now somebody else is asking his name. And he tells him, he says, my name is Jacob. See, he wasn't struggling with his identity any longer. But he knew who he was. And he wasn't grasping after somebody else's heel. But after 21 years, Jacob no longer wants the blessing of Esau. He was there to get his own blessing. How many of us are ready to wrestle all night to get our blessing? To get the blessing that God wants for you, for your family. He no longer wanted Esau's blessing. It caused him pain. He had got it through lying and cheating. But this blessing that he got this time, it was going to be a blessing that was meant for Jacob. And after 90-something years, he finally learned that in order to get his blessing that was meant for him, he was going to have to fight and literally wrestle with God through the night. And he will no longer be Jacob the cheat and the overthrower. No, he'll be Israel, which means triumphant with God. See, when we put our focus off of ourselves, off that me first, and we put it on God first, all of a sudden the blessing that's meant for us comes to us. And all of a sudden the wars that we wage, we don't wage any longer because God wages them. See, Jacob was who he was, but Israel was who God was through him. And who do you want to be? Jacob is who he was. That's who I am. But Israel is who God is through me. He'll no longer be the cheater, the overthrower. He'll be the overcomer. See, you know what we don't understand is that sometimes The lessons that we learn are not through our successes, but through our failures. The lessons that we have to learn, they're through our failures. That's where our most lessons are learned. And see, doesn't that make you want a new name? Aren't you tired of the old name? The old you? That everybody looks at and says, oh, that's so-and-so. They'll always be that way. I told them Wednesday night in here, I said, I'm ready to see the ones that nobody thinks can make it come to this altar and get saved. The ones that we see outside, the ones that we know in town, the ones that have the reputation as the dirtiest, I'm ready for them to walk through the door. And I'm ready for them to see salvation today. And see, change is complicated. You know why I know change is complicated? Because even after this, there's times where Jacob is referred to as Jacob, and there's times where he's referred to Israel, and it's probably because he was acting like Jacob. And it's going to be the same for you. You're not going to get it right the first time. You're going to have to keep coming back and holding on to God. You're going to have to keep coming back and latching on to God. Keep coming back and grasping on to God. And He's going to keep telling you, you're Israel. You're Israel. You're Israel. You're not Jacob anymore. You're Israel. Let me show you one other thing that's interesting. Years after Jacob is, he dies and all this happens to him, Moses comes along. And he's at the burning bush and he's talking to God. And God's telling him, you're going to go back to Israel. The people that came through Jacob. Praise the Lord. And he said, and you're going to go and you're going to lead them out of slavery. And Moses says, who shall I tell him sent me? Look at this right here. God said to Moses, tell him, I am who I am. This is what you're to say to Israelites. I am sending you. And God also said to Moses, say to the Israelites, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever. The name you shall call me from generation to generation. I want you to see something, guys. And I didn't know it until somebody else pointed it out to me this week. The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Why didn't God say the God of Israel? Why didn't He use Jacob's good name? He used Jacob the failure. He used Jacob the cheat. He used Jacob the dirty. See, God was telling him, I'm not just the God of your successes. I'm the God of your failures too. I am your God. Your mess ups, your dirty things, the things that you want to hide. I can be God over those situations as well. I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. When you were at your worst, I was God then too. It's amazing to me. In other words, the God of your mess up and the God of your failures has sent you. And God is showing Moses He wasn't just God of success, but He was God in their troubles too. And see, God cannot bless. God cannot bless who you pretend to be. God will not bless who you pretend to be. See, everybody has that person they are. They have that person they want to be. And they have that person that they pretend to be till they get to be the person they want to be. Think about it. You have the person that you are, the person that you want to be, and somewhere in the middle is this person you're trying to act like. They haven't quite made it here yet. So you're trying to cover up a few things here so that you look like this person. And God can't bless who you pretend to be, but He can bless who you are. And the great thing about that is the person that's not the real you, God won't bless. But He will bless you when you're honest about who you are. Because see, for what shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world and loses his soul? Jacob was chasing after everything else. He had gained everything that was possible to gain, but in the process he lost himself. So he gained the whole world, but he was bound to lose his soul if he didn't come to God. Randy, would you come this morning? How many of you are like Jacob? You're still struggling with that name that you were given a long time ago. You're still struggling with that person that you once were. You're still struggling with that identity that you thought you laid down, but somehow you're still that person. How many of you are wrestling right now? You're
wrestling with man. You're wrestling with God. All these things are coming up against you. And you know you need to let it go. You know you need to move on. You know you need to strive on. You know you need to hold on to God just a little bit longer. But you're letting victories be won by the enemy in your life, in your family's life, in the lives of your children. And if you would just latch on to God, He'd give you a new name. He'd give you a new identity. He'd prosper your life in a way like you've never known before. Don't believe the lie that what you want now is more important than what you want most. Let's stand together. Could we dig in this morning, guys? Could we dig in this morning as they lead us this morning? Could we really dig in this morning and say, I am not satisfied being Jacob any longer. I want to be Israel. I don't want to be the trip up. I don't want to be the one that causes us to stir. I don't want to be the one that lives like this on Sunday, who comes in here, who worships and raises their hand, but on Monday is cheating my brother and lying to my father. God's got so much more for those holes in our life than the things that we're trying to fill them with that's leaving us empty. This morning as they sing, I ask you, let's just get comfortable with this altar. Let's lay our burdens down here and get up different and changed. I invite you this morning to pray and ask God to give you a new name.
I am covered by your love. I'm known by you and loved, with nothing left to prove or hide. By your grace I am redeemed, and my identity is known.
are not near as important as the things that you want most. And what everybody wants, and the reason that everybody chases things, is they want fulfillment. And fulfillment only comes through God. I just feel like there's still more work to be done this morning. And I don't tarry long. I don't usually carry on long. I don't like long altar calls, but I do feel like that today is the day of salvation, and today is the moment. And if I feel like if I close it down now, Lord, that I will have missed it this morning, God. And I just pray, God, that you would speak to hearts. And if there's someone here and they just haven't made you their God yet, if they haven't made you number one yet, if they keep running from the troubles of yesterday, God, and instead of embracing the life that you have for them today, that they would come, Lord, I'm going to ask, Lord, that you would just move right one more time.
Yes.
Randy, would you sing one more time?
Yes.
Covered by your love, I'm known by you and loved, with nothing left to prove or hide. By your grace I am redeemed, and my identity is knowing that I am your child. I am grateful to be called your child. Oh, what a gift you gave. Oh, what a price you paid. More than I deserve. More than I deserve. Your constant faithfulness, your every promise is more than I deserve. More than I deserve. Oh, what a gift you gave. Oh, what a price you paid. More than I deserve. More than I deserve. Your constant faithfulness, your every promise is more than I deserve. More than I deserve.
God, we love you, and we thank you, God, that when we call on you, you meet with us. Lord, we don't have to live in the mistakes of yesterday. We can live in the promises of today. And that we don't have to be the hill grabber anymore. But we can be the overcomer. And today, God, I just pray, Lord, that we would dig our roots in and produce fruit, God. And that the ones, Lord, that nobody thinks can be saved would be brought to this house, God. And we would be ready for it, God.
Yes.
We would be excited about it, God. That you brought people in, Lord, that nobody thought had a chance, God. The hopeless. Lord, you would bring them here. The ones that don't have anything, God. They don't have hope, they don't have money, they don't have life, God. I bring them here, God. And that we would be able, Lord, to share the gospel with them. That we would be able to share your love with them, God. Lord, take us from victory to victory. We love you.